Welcome, dear listeners. Today we're going to speak about and maybe even discuss a thing that will help you to make your software and team as great as it can be in both online and offline parts. Our topic today is domain-driven design, unlocking the power of software development. My name is Daniel Volishuk. I am senior software developer at Agiliway. So let's start. First of all, let's check our agenda. At the beginning, I'll tell you some stuff about theory, just really fast. Then we will try to understand how to use this theory. And then we will have a small example of how DDD solves the problems. So the theory part, what is DDD? In short, DDD is making your business logic in the way that respects and meets your domain language plus logic and uses domain terms without losing appropriate decomposition part. But if talking a little bit more about that, DDD is an approach that focuses on connecting the design of a software system with the domain model that exists in real world. DDD encourages collaboration between every coworker, between devs and domain experts, and helps to have shared and helps to have a shared understanding of the domain. It emphasizes the importance of modeling strategy, UML diagrams. It prioritizes understanding and modeling the real-world domain to create more effective software system. So first of all, I'd like to say that DDD is not always a need. It shouldn't be applied for some simple projects. You just don't need a lot of analysis to create a landing page or an online shop with the basket only, right? In these cases, it just creates more work than necessary. Besides, if you are working on some super specific tech service like, I don't know, like Okta, for example, the service that connects a lot of other services and it's only about technical stuff, you don't need DDD to, because you just will never be able to tell your manager what are you exactly doing. They just won't understand it. And if you are not sure whether DDD should be applied for your project, you can just open a red book written by Van Vernon on DDD scorecard part. There will be a table with some questions, some points, and it will really help you to understand if you have to use DDD for your project, for your specific project. So what does DDD give? It gives you quite a lot. It gives you developers that are able to communicate with the business team. They are really able, since no one speaks Mordor. It gives you easier business flow, again, since no one speaks Mordor, and since everybody has documentation, and you just can even move people to other teams and hire newcomers really easily. Besides, it gives you better code, because it gives you cleaner, more reliable code, and the code that is easy to change, because since, again, even Dolphins developers speak to other Dolphin developers in human language. Besides, they have documentation, they have clear boundaries, and they can discuss everything with the main experts. And the last but not least, better UI UX, because the designer will also understand what are you gonna do and how to put buttons and where to do it. In summary, DDD is a powerful approach that not only eliminates this murder of miscommunication, but it also brings order, clarity, and predictability to software development. Looks good, right? But here comes a question. How does DDD make all this magic? DDD gives you a lot of tools that you can use for strategic and tactical parts of development process, but today I'm gonna tell you more about strategic ones. And here they are, crucial tools you need. Just use them and you will see how your project becomes better and better, more scalable, more reliable, and easier to understand. The three tools are ubiquitous language, bounded context, and context maps. Let's check what is ubiquitous language. So, like Sun Tzu said that strategy comes before tactics, DDD says that if you are using different languages to communicate, you are gonna fail in everything else. So it gives you the ubiquitous one. Ubiquitous language is a shared vocabulary that both technical and non-technical members of the software development team use to discuss, to understand the problem domain. It's really critical element for effective communication between developers, domain experts, and stakeholders. It gives you a lot of benefits like clarity, efficiency, alignment, and documentation. It is just literally a dictionary for things you have in your business that you can store in Jira, for example. The pretty simple rule for ubiquitous language is like one thing, one name for every context that uses this thing. And let's move to bounded context. It goes after ubiquitous language, because if we don't have ubiquitous language, we are not able to create bounded context. It's a little bit more complex thing. In fact, it's just a logical separation, like divide and conquer. You're splitting your large system by defining explicit boundaries within which a particular model is applicable and consistent. It helps to ensure that every part of a system has its own distinct understanding of the domain and terminology. In addition, every bounded context has its own aggregates, entities, value objects, and domain services. Why do you need to understand that? Because, for example, customer is, for example, customer, yeah, it's just a different thing for support manager and for sales manager, because sales manager thinks about selling something and support manager thinks about helping someone. And as a developer or analyst, you will even need different parts of information about the customer or order to automatize or to continue the processes you need. Okay. Context maps. Again, context maps are going after bounded context, because if you don't have bounded context, you are not able to build these context maps. It is very important addition for bounded context. This thing is a little bit harder again, but it shows how your contacts interact with each other. How do these 9 patterns of relations between these contacts work as a system? You just have to define your bounded contacts and draw them as circles. Then you have to link them using these patterns. And this will allow you to see how does your system work and what parts of your application have to be refactored. In addition, here you can see one interesting pattern. It is called big ball of mud. It marks the part of the system that is messy, that has mixed models and inconsistent boundaries. If your DDD expert said that you have it, then you have made a mistake in your strategy. Big ball of mud is a demarcation of a bad model or system quality, and someday it will, I think, it even shall force you to think about refactoring. You can try to make something like that, like these maps for your own project. It's, to be honest, it's simple, but yeah, you really have to do it, because maybe you will find some balls of mud, maybe, and maybe you will say your I don't know, team lead that, dude, we have to fix it, and he said it, and he will answer okay, and you'll have more work. So yeah, very exciting, but I'm sure you feel that something is missed, and if you think so too, then you are right. It feels like there is not enough kind of glue between all these maps, language, and context stuff. It may even look like there is no starting point for DDD. And yeah, the first time using DDD will look like that. You will fail. There's no other way. You will fail with deadlines. You'll fail with something else, you won't know where to start. You will name a lot of stuff in incorrect way. Your architecture will look bad, and even your Italian friend will come to say that your project is a very tasty pasta. But fortunately, the way that can help and that can be a starting point exists. And it's event storming. Yeah, DDD takes a lot of time and strategy, but is it really bad? You and your colleagues are getting a lot of knowledge about your domain using it. You're getting managers, developers, analysts, and other people that really know and really understand what are they doing and can even generate new good ideas for business. But the only one problem is time. Yeah, DDD takes a lot of time on strategy. So here comes event storming, and it will help you a lot. Just lock some developers and domain experts in your basement for 2 weeks, and after that you will have plan plus backlog plus architecture and documentation. Yeah, event storming has 3 stages, and every stage is deeper and deeper into tech stuff. First of all, you're interested in big picture. This stage requires more non-technical stuff, non-technical employees, non-technical coworkers, non-technical people, more managers, and domain experts. Then on process modeling and software design, you developers will be able to get rid of these non-technical people. But the first time you will need your domain experts to think a little bit. You will need them to write events that they want to happen in your software. I mean, like business events, stuff like that, domain events. So they have to write them on orange sticky notes and then put them on the wall. After that, they write the things that trigger these events on blue stickies and place these blue stickies beside them. And yeah, they also have to add an actor for each command on yellow sticky note. That's all. That's all you need from them. You need to know all the events that are that they want to see in your software. Later, you again will be able to ask them more about these events. So yeah. And later you will be able to aggregate some sort of if-else statements, etc. But now you need at least something like that. Besides, you can add some stickies with questions if you have them. It will help all the team understand what happens in other departments. My personal recommendation is don't be shy. If you have only one question, or maybe if you have a lot of them, you just will see that there are a lot of similar questions that no one understands, and it's absolutely normal because no one knows everything about the business. And these questions have to be answered because it will simplify your future work a lot. You won't need to go to, I don't know, to call center to ask something. You just will have a Confluence page that describes everything that happens there. Besides, these questions will help you to create documentation, maybe some sort of FAQ for your coworkers. And after all the stickers on the board, on the wall, your wall will look like that, something like that. Yeah, with a lot of stickers, different colors, arrows, with domain events, aggregates, commands, etc. But you are always able to use, for example, Miro. For example, Miro, instead of wall to do event storming, as an advantage, it will be easier to edit it and to make documentation out of it because you're just copying and pasting. But the only one disadvantage that Miro has, Miro kills all the fun because when you have to write stickers in the real world, you're able to communicate with other people and they think it's really important, and it's very good for plannings like that because you are always able to ask more stuff and it will give you more outcome. Okay, when you finally have this board, let's see what does it give. Okay, and again, as the DD gives, event storming gives you quite a lot. Yeah, at least because it's still fast, but takes a lot of time. First of all, it gives you words that have to be added to ubiquitous language, and then you will be able to use them. It gives you events. It gives you events with logic that, and these events are literally your tasks from backlog or for backlog. Event storming gives you aggregates for bounded contexts. It gives you bounded contexts based on aggregates. It gives you entities, value objects. It gives you documentation. Since you have bounded context, it gives you even team structure, because yeah, if you have different contexts, sorry, yeah. So yeah, since you have bounded context, it gives you team structure. It gives your designers the whole understanding of your business, and that allows them to create great UX. And event storming can give even more. You just have to try it. It's not important to do it for the whole system. You can just consider choosing only one bounded context just to test it, just like a 2-3 hours test, if it works for you. So yeah, event storming is amazing. It allows everyone in the team understand what's going on or what is planned. It's besides that, it's very simple and fast, and it allows you to work on project that you really understand. Yeah, and there will be a small practical part. I'm gonna show how DDD works with some very simple problems, just to give you some examples. So we have an online fashion retail shop. It's our patient, and it is planning to grow. But during this process, business owners realize that something is stopping them. So they tried to investigate the problem, and they have found a lot of tech and non-tech problems. There are communication gaps, supplier relationships are suffering, multi-supplier integrations have different APIs, and which produces bad code for the company. Dynamic prices are very complex, and they are and they are working in incorrect way, as well as inventory and optimization. And the last problem is lack of real-time supply chain visibility. So yeah, sad problems. First, sorry. Excuse me. So let's try to solve non-technical problems. Yeah, they are very simple, and simple problems means simple solutions. To be honest, I'm not very good at non-technical problems, so I decided to choose only simple here. As you can see, if you have communication gaps between dev and business teams, you just need to define words that everyone will understand and that everyone will use. And if you need to improve your relationships with someone, just create a team that will be in charge of doing it. Yeah, super simple solutions. Yeah, the simplest is creating a new team. But if we are talking about tech problems, here I am. As you can see, the solutions are still not very complex, but they are more abstract. For every problem that the business has, you will need to create its own bounded context. So for supplier integration, for pricing, for inventory management and supply chain, everything needs bounded context, because everything is everywhere now. Because so yeah, sorry. And besides, in the last problem, you will need to change architecture a little bit to event-driven. So yeah, some code. Time for it. As you can see, everything is really written in human language, supplier integration service, fetch product data, track shipment, calculate dynamic price, use dynamic rules for calculate dynamic prices. And yep, one additional thing, it's not important to split everything to microservices. It can live in monolith with that respects your project boundaries, separations, and independence. So yeah, writing this code, I just wanted to show that everything you have must be human readable. That you have to use the language that is used by your mates, and that is not so hard to write code, that can be kind of intuitive. Okay, some extra stuff. Yeah. A slide from my previous presentation, vital rules for microservices. I like to tell people about that because when I see microservice in project code, when I see microservices, I am really trying to think why does the project needs it, and it happens to be that they even don't have microservice. So the first rule, you don't want to create a microservice that includes more than one bounded context. Why? Because if it has at least two, because if it has at least two, it's not a microservice, it's monolith. Sorry. Yeah, the second thing, ensure the language your microservice uses belongs to your dictionary. Yeah, third rule is all the fields you need should meet your bounded context and use the ubiquitous language. And the last one, create and review your context mapping to understand the dependencies and coupling of your microservices. Yeah, about architecture. If talking about that, consider using onion or hexagonal. Is just the simplest way. Yeah, both will allow you to keep everything clear and separated. Yeah, and the last piece of advice, use DDD only to simplify. Thanks everyone. Q&A time. Could you say more about onion architecture? To be honest, I'm not sure what to say more about that than on the picture, because it's just a simple controller application service that is usually the class, and the main service, and application services and the main services. Application services are calling the main services, and the main services are working with the main model. So yeah, there was a question, is the DD universal for any industry? Nope, because it shouldn't be. It should be applied for projects that are more kind of people specific. It's like for projects that are more related to people. For example, if you have a restaurant, like, I don't know, McDonald's, for example, it works with people. It is cooking food, but they have some complex processes that are automatized. I'm not sure whether they are using DDD, but I guess they have something like that, because it would be, I don't know. It would be really hard not to use something like that. How do bounded contexts communicate with each other? Sorry. It depends on project. So let's go back. Let's check this example. Bounded contexts can communicate like whatever you like. It even can be something like speaking in real life, but it doesn't give a lot of performance. It's like a think about it. Yeah, like about microservices. If this is microservice, this is microservice, this is, and every circle is a microservice, yeah, it just will be easier to understand that. All of them have APIs. APIs you can just make communicating with each other via APIs. Yeah, is there any specific regulatory or compliance consideration that companies should know when using DDD? The company should always, the thing that companies should always know about DDD and about teams that are proposing development with DDD, they have to know that strategy time will be like 2 weeks at least. Like, I'm not even talking about some diagrams, about some architecture. So yeah, it will take a lot of time on the start, but in future it will but in the future it will bring you a lot of good things, like time of changing the code. It will require less time to do that. It will require less time to do something inside your services. What the difference between event and command? Between event and command. So if we have an event, yeah, it's the thing that have already happened. Let me open the slide. Yeah. The main event, it's the thing that have already happened. Like, I don't know, the door is opened, something like that. Let it be the main event. And the command is Nitin opens the door. So it's like that. It works like that. Yeah, it's very simple. Yeah, maybe sometimes even ridiculously simple, but it helps a lot, really. You will really know what you have to do. There is another one, chat. Okay. In one slide, you mentioned that DDD helps to better organize UI UX. How? It helps to organize UI UX because the designer that works on your project understands the project more, and the designer is, when he understands it more and understands this better, he or she can just create a better thing, like just logically. Kind of more coherent stuff to organize, maybe reorganize. So yeah. And which layer should contain validation rules. Could you please tell more about your question? Layer of what you mean? Here? Or maybe, I don't know, here? It depends on what are you talking about, what layer? Yeah, thanks, Nitin. And about, I guess it was more about architecture, about validation rules. So it depends on validation. If you're talking about validation, like user has to be 21 years old, I think it's literally, it's the main validation rule. Password should be greater than 10 symbols and less than 20. As a Django developer, I want to tell that I want to say that it should be in modal. So yeah, you just have to be, you just have to be there. Thanks, everyone. I was happy to tell you a little bit more about all this stuff. Thanks. So bye-bye.